Tetris Effect Connected recently had its first Invitational tournament, featuring some of the best classic and guideline players in the world, battling it out for the opportunity to face Green Tea, the lead multiplayer game designer. First up was the Zone Battle. This mode was the first time that a multiplayer Tetris game has featured Tetris Effect's flagship new mechanic called the Zone, which allows the player to clear more than 4 lines at once by stopping time and letting them clear as many lines as possible before their zone charge is gone or they top out. In the context of a garbage sending battle, the zone allows players to slowly build up the opportunity to send a massive attack, which bundles a combo of all the attacks the player performs while in the zone, along with a bonus for the zone charge amount and total lines cleared. In order to prevent the games from going on indefinitely, the game has 3 phases, where the garbage gets more and more scrambled and difficult to clear away. First up was Kirby, the first player to perform a 21 line clear in the zone, which is now known as a Curbtris, versus Microblizz, a speed demon who for a long time held the world record for fastest 40-line sprint. All the zone battle matches were best of 9. Kirby started off strong in the beginning of game 1 with a Perfectress for a 49-line attack, but Microblizz was in near complete control of the match from then on, often not even needing the zone to force a top out, and ended up sweeping 5 games to none. Next up was Blink, the administrator of Hard Drop, a major hub for the modern Tetris community online, against Baseball Boy, who is known as an incredibly creative stacker, and showed it off early in game 1 with his crazy T-spin single and T-spin triple combo. By the late stage of the game, Blink was stuck with a bunch of scramble garbage and unable to send large zone attacks, eventually being overwhelmed and putting Baseball Boy up 1-0. But Blink fought back hard in game 2, sending over a 48 attack Perfectress, and Baseball Boy was only able to counter with a 34 attack Dodecatris. Even though it was the early stage and the garbage was clean, Baseball Boy didn't have his stack open to clear it down and topped out, evening things up 1-1. After trading some games back and forth, Blink was up 3 games to 2 in game 6. Baseball Boy set up an incredible tower inside the zone for 3 T-spin triples, resulting in a 63 attack Perfectress, but Blink managed to hold on and quickly downstack the surplus garbage on his side. Right afterwards, Baseball Boy had a brutal misdrop with an L piece right after entering the zone, but was able to recover using a J to clear off a double and regain clean access to as well. By phase 3 though, Blink was showing off the strength of his speed and rode his downstacking to victory to bring things to game point. In game 7, Baseball Boy continued to fight hard with consecutive perfect clears in the zone high up, but later on could not overcome a misdrop on the right that cut off his ability to burn, and Blink advanced to the finals. In the finals, Blink just steamrolled through, sending massive spikes that Microblizz was just unable to counter, with untimely misdrops often doing him in. It's clear from the drops per minute stats after each game that Blink had a massive speed advantage, but in Microblizz's defense, he said that he'd been only playing the game for a few days and was still getting used to the mechanics. Blink ended up sweeping 5 games to none. Blink then went on to face Green Tea, who had played very little competitive Tetris publicly in a long time, but he surprised the commentators and much of the audience with his speed, being able to dominate with his aggression early, and here in game 7, already up 4 games to 2, he was able to show off his ability to downstack deep into phase 3 of the game with messy garbage. He's still able to pull off large combos while in the zone. Blink showed off his downstacking abilities right afterwards with an 11 combo and eventually took the game, but Green Tea closed it out in game 8 to win the boss match 5 games to 3. I reached out to Blink for his thoughts on his matches and the overall game mode itself. So how does the addition of the zone impact the overall strategy in the game?
Okay, so zone mode, it definitely adds like another layer of depth to the game. Without zone mode, you usually get a game that's very similar to a lot of modern Tetris games that are already out. So it's kind of cool that if that's what you enjoy, they included the feature to turn off zone in local multiplayer. But once you do add zone to the game, it's a really good tool for both offense and defense. It'll allow you to survive situations that are otherwise unsurvivable. And a well-timed zone attack that can knock out your opponent if they're not expecting it. Now you have to pay attention to your zone meter as well as your opponent's zone meter. Try to figure out, are they about to activate their zone soon? Should we activate ours? That type of thing.
Was there anything specific that felt like it was key in helping you win your match versus Baseball Boy?
Yeah, that was a great set. It was our first match for both of us, and so I was pretty nervous once I went down 0-1. But I think my speed advantage and also maybe my experience played a role. I know he's very strong with openers and T-spins. He's stronger than I am, and I was worried about getting unexpectedly spiked, I guess. So I was watching his field way more than than I would someone else. Just knowing that I had a speed advantage, I was willing to sacrifice some of that just to see and make sure I knew exactly what he was doing at all times.
So what was it like playing Green Tea? Because like everybody was so surprised at how good he was. Like what made it surprising?
Yeah, it was a blast playing against Green Tea. I actually hadn't played against him in years. It's probably been like 6-7 years or something like that. I already knew, since he was been such a huge part of the multiplayer game design, I knew that he would have the strategic advantage on me because the multiplayer was his baby and he helped to balance his zone out. So he knew what to do, and it really showed because there were times where he was doing quarter zones or half-meter zones like intentionally, and I almost never do that. I need to rewatch the video and see exactly why he was doing that. But for me, the biggest surprise was how fast he was. He was actually faster than me, and there's been players that are same speed as me. For example, like Uya Shoda or Dormin's really close, but this is the first player I ran into that was faster than me.
Next up was Classic Score Attack, which is designed to be just like an NES Tetris match of the Classic Tetris World Championships, but with an added twist to speed things up. When one player tops out with a lead, the other player only has 2 minutes to chase down their score. First up was Jonas, the 7-time Classic Tetris World Champion, versus Laser Monkey, one of the highest ranked online players in the mode. These matches were best of 3. In game 1, Jonas went for an aggressive dirty Tetris line clear while stuck with a tough board and lost control of the delayed auto shift, with Laser Monkey having plenty of time to chase down the small lead. In game 2, Jonas tried to set up a creative overhang but then overshot a square right afterwards, leading to a cascade of misdrops that caused him to top out and let Laser Monkey advance. Next up was Jake, 2-time winner of the Classic Tetris Monthly and for a while had held the record as youngest player to max out NES Tetris, up against Corion, the 11-time winner of the Classic Tetris Monthly and runner-up in the 2019 Classic Tetris World Championships. Game 1, Jake had some misdrops, setting up a dirty centerwall Tetris line clear, and Corion took the round for an early match lead. Game 2, Corion survived a difficult situation on level 24. Jake was then one Tetris line clear behind on level 28 right before the kill screen. He had a desperation Tetris line clear set up, missed a long bar, but managed to get another one just in time. And Corion's stack was too messy to regain the lead before topping out. Jake ties things up 1-1. Game 3, Jake got into a dig early and hung a long bar on the right, and Corion survived to advance. Corion and Laser Monkey face off in a best of 5 bracket finals. Corion in game 1 doesn't get the RNG to resolve building out his left and gets droughted, and Laser Monkey is able to methodically chase down the score for a match lead. Game 2, Laser Monkey suffers through a lot of burning early and is down over 160,000 points, needing to play aggressive. His stack is unmanageable after this Tetris line clear, and he's unable to access the left side of his board, and Corion evens things up 1-1. By game 5, things are all tied up 2 games apiece, but Laser Monkey has an even bigger deficit of nearly 200,000 points right before the transition, but manages to dig through a dangerous board and hang on. A few levels later, he's gotten back nearly all of the deficit. Corion is unable to get a J to the left after this Tetris line clear, and Laser is able to complete the improbable comeback and win the finals, advancing to get to face Green Tea in a special best of 5 boss match. Appearing in his first competitive NES Tetris event in over a year, Green Tea shows early on that he has no rust, getting 877,000 in game 1, but it isn't enough as Laser Monkey clutches out 922,000 right before the kill screen for the win. Game 2, Green Tea and Laser both get stuck in tough digs past the transition and top out at nearly the same time. But with Laser in the lead, he takes a commanding 2-0 lead. Game 3, Laser is stuck high up at a critical point right before the transition, but gets the long bar for a Tetris line clear to stay in it. By level 28, Green Tea is one Tetris line clear behind right before the kill screen, right on the edge of death, and gets a triple on a Tetris line clear to take the lead and stay alive. Game 4, both players are barely hanging on, grinding through Swiss cheese boards like hungry mice, but Green Tea holds onto the slimmest of leads to even things up and force a decider. Game 5, Green Tea has a rough transition board and just misses a quick tap with the long bar to the left, and Laser Monkey defeats the final boss for a perfect night. I reached out to Laser Monkey as well to get his thoughts on the matches and Classic Score Attack in general. So what's the setup that you use to play Classic Score Attack?
I just use the NES controller and I have a retro USB adapter. I run the game on my PC and I use Joy-to-Key. It's like playing keyboard on the PC and it takes in the inputs from my controller. Pretty low latency with the retro port adapter. I did have to adapt my playstyle a little bit because When I play on NES, I rely on like a lot of frame perfect taps on 19 speeds, and it doesn't really work on the connected version because there's like 1 frame of lag, but I just learned how to like count taps. It's like a finesse basically, and when I started doing that, it was just fine.
Does the addition of the 2-minute time limit for chase downs impact your strategy at all when playing games?
It does impact my strategy when I'm losing. So for example, in my match in the tournament against Corion, I was like 180,000 behind. And when I was that far behind, my sole aim was to make sure that I never fell more than that behind, because from experience, I know that's about where it becomes impossible to catch up. I think especially on Tetris Effect Connected, people aren't quite used to it. They don't have a precise sense of the risk tolerance, because they've played NES Tetris for thousands of hours, but Tetris Effect they haven't. From playing in the ranked matches in the queue, I experienced a lot of early top outs, and so my strategy was just to survive, and I guess it worked out.
So this was your first time getting to face Jonas, Corion, and Green Tea. What was it like facing them?
Jonas, Corion, and Green Tea, those guys are some of the most like positive influences. You know, when I started getting into watching the CTWC, those 3 guys, along with like Joseph, they were the greatest to watch because they were just so positive and happy to be there and really good sportsmen. And, you know, as a sometimes very angry kid, it's nice to have that like older perspective. And so for me, like even getting to play these guys is just like already an honor. And I just felt like very lucky to even be in this situation to play against them and, you know, share this scene. The only thing winning did for me is like getting the chance to play the next person. That was my main motivation.
In addition to the opportunity to play against Green Tea, both Blink and Laser Monkey walked away with a free Xbox, courtesy of the sponsor Xbox. And this recap was brought to you courtesy of the sponsor Enhanced Games, so thanks Enhanced. It was a blast getting to see what some of the top players in the world were able to do on these 2 modes, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the competitive scene develops because this game is still brand new, and things are just getting started.